Now, let me tell you about Rob Burton. He's 19, he's family run a farm in Cambridgeshire, hence the grain store and the wellies. And as you can see, he plays the saxophone very well. He was a finalist in last year's BBC Young Musician of the Year, and in May he'll be playing at Buckingham Palace. Today he was performing in Norwich, and he then agreed to come into the studio and give us a tune. This is what it sounded like. Oh my word, that was amazing. Rob, come and join me on the sofa. That was absolutely fantastic. Then again, it was going to be, wasn't it? Because you're off to Buckingham Palace to play. Tell me about that.
So I was invited to play at Buckingham Palace because they, Future Talent, which is an organisation that help young musicians, are holding an event there, and they've asked me to perform. And I've been supported by Future Talent, both financially and through mentoring, for probably about the past 5 years.
It's going to be so exciting, isn't it? So how many hours a day do you have to practice in order to create a sound like that?
I mean, I have many rehearsals and practicing, and sometimes that goes up to about 8 hours a day. Right. Because you see, I was going to ask you for some tips, because I've started learning the saxophone a couple of years ago, and you are now going to tell me that I don't practice enough if it's 8 or 9 hours a day. What would be a good tip, though, for me to get a better sound? Just practice, is it? Yeah, okay. I think just time spent with the instrument is good time.
What's your ideal performance? What do you want to do?
I mean, playing at the Proms or something like that would be amazing. The Royal Albert Hall is an amazing venue, so that would be kind of top of my list.
He was brilliant, wasn't he, Julie? And I'm sure he will get to play at the Proms. I'm sure he will.
Yeah, and he's such a lovely guy.
I know, really lovely.
I am disappointed you didn't bring your saxophone in for a duet, though.
Can you imagine? No, that would have not been very good.
Bit more practice. I think you could join me at the Royal Albert
Hall. Yeah, just get on with the weather. Come on.
And from the grain store to the stage, we hear from the Cambridgeshire saxophonist, a year on from reaching the Young Musician of the Year finals. Now, last year he was a finalist in the BBC Young Musician of the Year competition. Today, Cambridgeshire saxophonist Rob Burton was performing at a classical music venue in Norwich. But the 19-year-old's roots are, well, a little more down to earth. In fact, he has literally gone from the grain store to the grand stage, as DJ McLaren has been finding out.
It's a rehearsal space with resonance. 19-year-old Cambridgeshire saxophonist Rob Burton, at home by the barley. But for a family of farmers, they say it was obvious pretty early on Rob's path was going to be different.
I always knew he wouldn't be a farmer, but he's always been so musical. When he was at primary school, you know, all he wanted to do was play the saxophone.
A 10-year-old Rob at possibly his first performance at Hinchingbrook Secondary School.
I remember being incredibly nervous, but I think it was that moment I kind of really realised that performing was just great fun, and I loved doing it.
It's always difficult to get kids to practice musical instruments, but then we went shopping one day and he came back with a special board to put all his practice times on that he wanted to buy, and that was when it suddenly sort of dawned on us, hang on, this is serious. And it got even more serious when he wanted to start practicing at 7 in the morning. That sort of, his brother didn't always relish that thought.
It was quite incredible when he first said he wanted to be professional at about 10 years old.
Rob won the woodwind section and got as far as the finals of the BBC's Young Musician of the Year competition, an experience he still can't get over.
So I've watched BBC Young Musician of the Year for years, ever since I was probably about 10 years old, since kind of getting serious about music. And I'd watch these young musicians on TV and just be astounded by how good they were. And I'd look up to them and find it so inspiring. And so I saw that there was the application, so I thought, oh, well, I might as well go for it, because it would just be a great experience. And yeah, and then I just started to get through the stages until I reached the grand final, which was unbelievable.
He gave a recital at the Norwich Assembly Rooms this lunchtime, and with 2 years to go on his degree, his sights are firmly set on studying in the States, but not before playing Buckingham Palace later this year. DJ McLaren, BBC Look East, near Grafton Water.